Equity Trust Company is a passive custodian and does not provide tax, legal, or investment advice. Any information communicated by Equity is for educational purposes only and should not be construed as tax, legal, or investment advice. Whenever making an investment decision, please consult with your tax attorney or financial professional. Equity does not endorse any speaker or presenter before you today. The opinions or ideas expressed are not necessarily those of Equity Trust Company, nor do they reflect their views or endorsement. These materials are for informational purposes only. Furthermore, all case studies provided are for educational purposes only. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Investing involves risk, including the possible loss of principal. Because of the technical nature of the material and the fact that the laws and the markets are ever changing, we strongly recommend that you engage the assistance of a competent, qualified professional before implementing any ideas discussed today. Thank you.
So I have the unique privilege and honor to introduce our next speaker. Our next speaker, Larry Goins, his molecular makeup, as we continue that theme throughout the conference, his molecular makeup, he has covered education savings accounts for his children, has for many, many years. He is an Equity Trust client. So CISA accounts, HSA. Recently, he established a multi-participant 401k for his office. So not only is he participating in self-directing his accounts into real estate, but he also has his staff in giving them the ability to self-direct their retirement, which I think is incredible. Larry's going to speak on a number of different facets to the niche strategy pertaining to buying HUD houses. But as I mentioned before, he also has a lot of experience with selling properties on seller financing and selling properties on land contract. And I don't know that he has the slide in this presentation, but he has a slide at his boot camp that he presents where he sold a house, bought and then sold a house, was it 10 times? Sold a house 10 times? 5 times, I'm sorry, 5 times. So he's going to be talking about taking some of the strategies that he does day to day and doing it inside of a self-directed IRA. He's been in the real estate space for now over 30 years, He's worked on the brokerage side, the mortgage brokerage side, and again, he now runs a real estate shop down in Lake Wylie, South Carolina, where he resides with his wife and his son. And he'll talk a little bit, I assume, about his son and the covered education savings account and some of the things that he's doing with those accounts. So he's got a lot in terms of his molecular makeup in multiple accounts, including that multi-participant 401k. So with that being said, and without further ado, welcome to the stage, Larry Goins.
Thank you very much. Thank you, John. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Yep. How is everybody? Great. Excellent. Is this a great event or what? Isn't it an awesome event? Yes. I got to tell you guys, I travel around the country, even around the world, teaching and training at expos, conventions, and all that good stuff. And it takes a lot to put on an event, especially an event that you have over 300 people at. It takes a lot. It takes a team. It's a team effort. And I don't know, I haven't been able to be in all the sessions. I don't know if anybody has acknowledged the entire team, but it takes a lot of work and effort. So let's take just a minute and give a hand to everybody involved in putting this event on. Yeah, all a lot of people see is what goes on up here, but there's a lot of things behind the scenes that lead up to it. So, you guys ready to jump in? So let me ask you a question. How many of you have seen me before, or this is your first time? Let me see your hands. Some of you will get that on the way home, right? So I do a lot of real estate. That's my main business. I do live in Lake Wylie, South Carolina, which is just across the state line from Charlotte, North Carolina. And there's 2 things you need to be successful in the real estate business. You need money and you need deal flow, right? You should write that down. You need money and you need deal flow, right? Now, having an account at Equity Trust, you should have money, right? If not, there's somebody right next to you that does, okay? So there's plenty of money in this room. What I'm going to do today is help you with some deal flow, okay? And the older I get, the simpler I want things to be. Anybody feel that way too? Yeah. So what I'm going to try to share with you today is a simple, I didn't say easy, a simple way to be able to get some deal flow, right? And I do teach a lot of strategies about what to do with the deal, whether it's day trading real estate, like I wrote the book there, Getting Started in Real Estate Day Trading, buying and selling a house the same day using the internet. We've actually done deals in 12 different states right from our office in Lake Wiley. So whether it's that or whether it's a term I call filthy riches, which is buying cheap houses like they were showing earlier in the earlier session and selling them for 3 to 6 times. Now that's not what we're going to cover today as far as exit strategies. What I'm going to help you with is deal flow today. Does that sound good? Yeah. Awesome, awesome. Okay, let's just jump right in. We're going to do some Q&A at the end. In fact, if you guys have a question, don't hesitate to just throw your hand up. It's okay. I'll repeat the question for the cameras. So if you happen to have a question, either jot it down till the end, or if you want to just throw your hand up, that's fine too. This is very laid back, easy going, okay? All right. So here's what we're going to learn today. What is a HUD home? Why HUD homes? Some HUD benefits. What is a PCR? Why is it important? The bidding process. Where do you bid? Who can bid? How to bid on HUD homes. How to get more bids accepted. I have an exclusive model I call the shotgun and rifle approach to help you get more bids accepted. How to pay more than list. How to gain an unfair advantage. And then I'm going to show you some actual sample deals, okay? First of all, why would you want to listen to Larry? You like my dog? Now, just real quick, this is not the biography channel, but I have been a licensed real estate broker since 1984. Been a general contractor since 1985. I used to sell stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. Been in the mortgage business since 1996. And I was a president of Metrolina RIA, Metrolina Real Estate Investors Association, in 2003 and 2004, the largest nonprofit investors group in the Carolinas. This is a picture of my library. Right? See, I'm from South Carolina. There's only one R in library. Right? So I am a firm believer in education, okay? I don't just teach this stuff. I am a firm believer in education, right? The one thing I don't have, though, is a college degree. I've never been to a college or university, got a degree. But I do have a South Carolina PhD. Anybody know what that is? Anybody? I heard somebody say piled higher and deeper. What is that about? A public high school diploma? That's a public high school diploma. That's what a South Carolina PhD is. Except in South Carolina, it's a public high school diploma, right? That's where that other R goes, right? So I am a firm believer in education. Okay, and guys, I still invest about 50 grand a year on my own education, okay? On my own education. And at this point, it's not just home study courses. A lot of it is coaches, mentors, and even masterminds. In fact, Vina and I are in a mastermind together that's $10,000 a year plus $1,000 a month, every single month. I'm in another mastermind that's $25,000 a year, and I've been in it for 6 years. Now, fortunately, I don't pay $25,000 because I've been in it for 6 years when it started out at about half that, right? So I'm grandfathered in. But I am a firm believer in education. So I believe that the most important piece of real estate you'll ever invest in is the 6 inches between your ears. That's exactly why you guys are here. Am I right? Yeah, exactly. Okay. Just real quick, I bought and sold my first house in 1986. Guys, my very first deal was an FHA non-qualifying assumable loan. Anybody remember those? A few people, right? That was my very first deal. And I don't do anything, way back then, I was a very young guy, right? And I wasn't doing anything simple back then. I bought that house, took over the loan, I did a wrap loan, and I sold the wrap, so I didn't do anything simple back then. But that was my very first deal, believe it or not. We have bought and sold hundreds. Actually, I'm sure it's over 1,000 houses, but because I didn't keep count, I say hundreds instead of 1,000. Just to give you an idea, I've done residential, commercial, multifamily. I've done triple net lease properties. I've owned Dollar General stores, Shoney's restaurants. I've owned mobile home parks. I've owned 2 mobile home parks. My first and last, it was the same one. I've done land development. I've gone in and bought land, had it subdivided, cleared, graded, graveled, and paved, put in roads, and then I built houses on the lots and sold the houses. Subdivisions and done hard money lending, and I still do quite a bit of hard money lending. We used to broker hard money loans, like we would take your money and loan it out to somebody and we would get a broker fee. But fortunately, we've got to the point now we just loan out our own money doing hard money loans. These are some of the projects I've owned or developed over the years. We've done wholesale and retail and lease options, short sales, subject twos, rentals, and seller financing. We've used cash, hard money, traditional financing, private money, partnerships, and equity participation. But what I'm about to share with you is one of the quickest ways I've seen investors make money and grow their business. Now, these are a couple of my companies. I have multiple entities, but these are the primary ones. We do wholesale, we do lease options, we do seller financing, discounted notes, and we do it in multiple states. I think I mentioned this earlier, I've done deals in 12 different states right from my office in Lake Wylie, South Carolina, right? My first book, Getting Started in Real Estate Day Trading. I sent the manuscript to Michael Gerber. Who knows Michael Gerber, author of E-Myth? I sent the manuscript to Michael Gerber. I didn't know Michael. I sent the manuscript to him. I said, I've E-Mythed real estate. Would you write a quote for my book? So he actually called the office one day, blew me away. He called the office one day, and they're like, Larry, there's a Michael Gerber on the phone. I'm like, what? So I pick up the phone, and he said, Larry, I read your book, your manuscript. He said, you have E-Mythed real estate. He said, how about I write the foreword for you? And this is one sentence of what he wrote in the foreword. It's this kind of genius, we can really just stop there. That entrepreneurs such as Larry Goins, Ray Kroc, Michael Dell, Bill Gates, and so many more create for the rest of us. I thought that was pretty cool. Now, that's my latest book, HUD Homes Half Off. Both of them are available wherever books are sold. One of the things I'm most proud of is Candace and I. Candace has been with me for about 12 years. She's like a daughter to me, and she's just an awesome person. She is my integrator. If you're not familiar with the term integrator, you should read the book Traction by Gino Wickman. Traction by Gino Wickman, and the book Rocket Fuel. She is my integrator. Every business has a visionary and an integrator. Sometimes it's the same person if you're a solopreneur, right? But a visionary is where are we going? The integrator is what do we have to do today, this week, this month, this year to make it happen. All great businesses have a visionary and an integrator. Just like Apple. Apple. Who's the visionary? Steve Jobs. Who's the integrator? Wozniak. Disney. Disney. Who was the visionary? Walt. Who was the integrator? His brother. His brother, right? Yeah, so check out that book. That's a really, really good book. But Candace and I host a radio show network called Brag Radio. And when you think of it, you might think, Brag, what is that about? Who are those people, right? But Brag actually stands for Be Rich and Generous. We teach people how to invest in real estate, and we encourage them to go out and be generous to others and help them with the blessings they've been given, right? HUD homes. Let's talk about HUD homes. So first of all, what is a HUD home? A HUD home, very simply, it becomes a HUD home because somebody got an FHA loan. Now, FHA, Federal Housing Administration, they don't make loans, right? They do not make loans. They insure loans, okay? Somebody goes to Bank of America, Wells Fargo, or Chase, or somebody like that, and they get a loan. And the bank underwrites the loan based on FHA guidelines, okay? So then, if that borrower defaults, the bank contacts FHA or HUD, one and the same, and they let them know, hey, we've got a defaulted loan here. We want to cash in our insurance policy, right? So HUD or FHA buys that loan back from the bank, and then HUD forecloses on that property, and that's how a house becomes a HUD home, okay? Why HUD homes? Guys, HUD homes, there's no phone calls. You're not cold calling people. There's no negotiating. You're not on the phone with people trying to negotiate deals. There's no direct mail. There's no direct mail. Now, a lot of people do direct mail, right? And you can get some really good deals with direct mail. But you don't have, but it's very expensive, isn't it, guys? Yeah. There's no bandit signs to put out, the I buy houses, we buy houses signs. There's no marketing needed, no advertising needed. Here are some more benefits you could jot down. Most of them are listed below market. Not all of them, most of them are listed below market. They provide you with what's called a PCR. That's Property Condition Report, PCR. They've been cleaned out. All the HUD houses have been cleaned out. I've never walked into a trashed HUD house, right? Never. The carpet has been removed a lot of times, especially if the house was smelly, they had a lot of animals there, the carpet, they pull the carpet out. In other words, I've never walked into a smelly HUD house, right? Never. You can buy them at a discount. The other cool thing is there's no deed restrictions. If you want to do a quick fix and flip, you don't have to hold it for 90 days. A lot of people say, oh, well, HUD houses, you got to hold it for 90 days. That's not true. What people are mistaking is if somebody's getting an FHA loan, the seller must have owned the house for 90 days, regardless of where the house came from, right? If somebody's getting an FHA loan. And there's also a lot of data available, which is really cool. This is what a PCR looks like. I don't have a pointer here, but if you notice down the left-hand side, they told me back there it didn't have a laser. Look on the left-hand side. These are all the major items in a house, right? Look, cooling, air conditioner, heating, furnace, HVAC, electrical, wiring, stove, range, oven, kitchen cabinets, plumbing, sink, water heater, septic, sewer system, toilet, and the roof. See, when HUD forecloses on a house, just like any other bank, they hire an asset manager, right? The asset manager sends what's called a field service rep out, and they inspect the property. They inspect the property, right? And the cool thing about this PCR is it's all the major things in a house. I mean, they're not going to tell you about paint and carpet and countertops, right? But these are the major items. Is that good? Yeah. You like that? Yeah, that's the major items in a house. Now, I'm a realist. In the real world, I'll be the first one to tell you, it's not always 100% accurate, right? But sometimes both ways. Sometimes both ways. For example, probably about a year ago, we bought a HUD house, and it had a tarp on the roof, okay? It had a tarp on the roof. So we were checking it out, and we've learned over the years to question. So it had a tarp on the roof. So we actually had somebody go up and pull the tarp off and look at it and run water over it and everything, and we couldn't get it to leak. Could not get it to leak. And what we found out was the tarp was over the kitchen. In the kitchen, there was a rectangle 2 feet by 4 feet that had been patched, and you could tell, right? So what we found out was the field service reps go out, and of course, the more work they do, the more money they make, right, guys? So the field service rep, seeing the patch in the kitchen, said, this roof must be leaking. Don't we get paid $150 to put a tarp on a roof? Let's go ahead and put a tarp on the roof, right? So now I don't know for a fact, but I'm assuming that's what happened because We pulled the tarp off, ran water over it, hard water, right? And we could not get it to leak whatsoever, right? So the PCR is really, really good, but it's not always 100% accurate, and sometimes that goes both ways, okay? Everybody got that? Good. The best part about HUD houses is we can buy them at discounts, even in today's market, even in today's market. So let's go over the HUD process from start to finish. Jot this down, guys. HUD is a daily auction. HUD is a daily auction. Okay, HUD is a daily auction. Guys, all bids are submitted online by a realtor or a HUD-approved nonprofit or a government agency, but that doesn't really apply to us, right? Now, in order for a realtor to be able to submit a bid, the realtor has to have what's called an NAID number. That stands for National Identifier Number. Most either agents or brokerages have their own NAID number, right? If they don't, it takes about 2 weeks to get one. They just go to the website, fill out application online. It takes about 2 weeks for them to get one, okay? No big deal, no big deal. Now, if you are an agent, do we have any agents in the room? If you are an agent, you can get your own NAID number. The only thing, and bid on houses for yourself. The only thing is you cannot earn a commission buying houses for yourself, right? That's the only thing you need to be aware of. All right, so all bids are submitted online by a realtor with an NAID number or a nonprofit. Now, I know we have some people in here with nonprofits. Don't get too fired up about that, because the nonprofit, for you to get an NAID number, you have to be in the housing sector, right, for at least 2 years to be able to get an NAID number as a nonprofit, okay? So if you're just starting out, or if you haven't been in the housing sector at least 2 years, it'll take you a little while to get an NAID number, right? However, as an investor, can you not joint venture with another nonprofit that's been in the housing sector for a couple years? Can't you do that? Absolutely, yes, sir.
Would your local nonprofit RIA group qualify?
Local nonprofit RIA group, probably not. However, the local RIA group could apply for an NAID and see if they could get approved, right? But I'm guessing a nonprofit RIA group would probably not be able to be approved, because they don't really provide housing, right? Does that make sense? That was a great question, though. Really good. All right. All bids are submitted at HUDhomestore.com. That website is the only place you can buy a HUD house. You cannot buy a HUD house anywhere else. HUDhomestore.com. I've seen a lot of people that said, oh, yeah, I subscribe to the HUD website. It's $50 a month. That's not the HUD website, okay? Trust me, that's not the HUD website. There's a lot of, I shouldn't say a lot, there's several websites out there that you would think are the HUD website, and they do charge like 50 bucks a month to be a member, but it's not the HUD website. Yes?
The registered HUD real estate broker, do they have to be in the state that they bid and buy on the house, or can they?
Great question. Great question. The question was, your broker that's going to put the bids in, where does that broker have to be licensed, right? The broker must be licensed in the state where the property is located, not where you are located. For me, as an example for me, I have a North Carolina agent that's licensed in North Carolina, and I have a South Carolina agent that's licensed in South Carolina as well. And I have a Georgia agent that's licensed in Georgia as well. Great question, thank you. So, what you want to do is search for investment properties. There's different types of bidders, right? There's different types of bidders, and we're going to look at that here in just a minute. But you want to search for investment properties, unless you are really buying a house to live in it, okay? If you're really buying a house to live in it, you can search for owner-occupied properties, okay? Very, very important. Don't try to bid as an owner-occupied buyer when you're planning on flipping the house, right? That is fraud. Then you want to determine your search criteria. Are you going to search by city, state, county, whatever? And then your property criteria: 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, square footage, whatever. This is what the website looks like. When you go to HUDhomestore.com, this is what the website looks like. You can either click on a state up here, or you can fill out the information here. Now let's look over here on the side. See this says buyer type right here? I believe I have another slide here. Yeah, right here. There's the different types of, oh, there's a pointer. Would you just look at that? That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much. I don't think it's going to advance the slides though. Nope. I got a clicker in both hands, just like at home watching TV. Okay. All right, so owner-occupant. That goes without saying. You know what that is. You're bidding on a house to live in it. Investor. See, it's highlighted. That's the one you want to click on. Good neighbor next door. Now, what is a good neighbor next door? Good neighbor next door is a program that they came up with where they will sell HUD houses to what they have deemed as a good neighbor, right, at a discount. However, that good neighbor has to live there, okay? It's first responders, police, firemen, that sort of thing, and school teachers. And there may be some others as well, but those are primarily what the good neighbor next doors are. Also, there's government agencies. Government agencies can bid, and nonprofit. Nonprofits can bid as well. Now, you could partner with a nonprofit that has an NAID number, right? They bid on the property, they get the property, and then sell it to you at a small profit. Do nonprofits need to make money? Yeah, to stay in business, they sure do. And then dollar homes. What's a dollar home? Dollar home, it is a house you can buy for $1, okay? But trust me, you don't want that house, okay? At any given time, they probably have maybe 3 to 5 of these houses anywhere in the U.S., and they're houses that were listed. They dropped the price, they dropped the price, they dropped the price, they dropped the price, they dropped the price. They couldn't sell it, right? And then they put it on here as a dollar home, right? Not only do you not want that house, but if you bid on it, or if you bought it for $1, you have to fix it up and move into it. They don't sell dollar homes to investors, right? It's to live in it, so you don't want that home anyway, okay? So just forget the dollar home. All right, figure out which clicker advances the slides. Here's a sample search criteria right here. $100,000 or less list price, 3.2 minimum by city, by county, or by state, either one, whatever it is you want to search for, okay? I will tell you this, I just search for everything. When I'm bidding and buying, I'm searching the entire state, every house that's available to investors, right? Now, typically, there are some exceptions to this, but typically, when a property first hits HUDhomestore.com, it's only available to owner-occupied buyers for the first 15 days. Sometimes it might be 30, sometimes it might be 5. I've seen it different days. I've seen it on day 1, it hit being available to investors, right? But typically, the majority of them are only going to be available to to owner-occupieds for about the first 15 to 30 days, okay? We've even had people call our office, you know, Larry, there's this great house and it's at a great price and I really want to bid on it, but it's not available. My first response is, how did you even see that house unless you were looking for owner-occupied properties? You shouldn't even be looking at that house because you can't do anything about it, right? And remember, HUD's a daily auction. So if you're doing this, you're going to spend 30 minutes or so every day looking at all the new listings that are available to investors. It might have been available to owner-occupants for 15 days, but on the 16th day, it was available to investors. That's the day you should see it. That should be your day 1, right? Okay. The cool thing is you can export the list right from the website. When you pull up a search, like investment property, 100,000 or less, 3-bedroom minimum, or whatever your search criteria is, there's a button there that says export the list. We export the list and then import it into our custom spreadsheet, and it merges everything, okay? I paid a developer a few $1,000s to create this. Now, I'm no computer guy, right? In fact, if I had a VCR, it would still be flashing 12 o'clock, right? But some of you know what I'm talking about, right? So, but I had this developer create this spreadsheet for me, and we just gave him all of our requests, everything we wanted. For example, when you export that list and then you merge it, they even show you what to do. When you merge the two sheets together, there's a link that goes right over to Zillow to check the comps, not the Zestimate. The Zestimate means zilch, right? The sold comps. There's a link to take you to the street map so you can see a street view of the property, a map of the property. There's a link that takes you right to Trulia to check the crime, right? There's a link that takes you to HUDhomevalue.com, which you can pull up and see what the probability of this property selling at a discount is. There's a lot of links in this thing, and also it's color-coded. It's color-coded based on, is it a new listing? Is it back on the market? Is it reduced, right? So this spreadsheet is just awesome. It blows me away. And then we can even put notes in here, and then we can tell it what we want it to bid, and that's how our virtual assistant bids on the property. She works about 2 hours a day putting in bids, okay? This is what a property listing looks like right here. There's the address, number of bedrooms, baths, right here. Now, listing period says extended. When a listing period is extended, that just means it's gone past the exclusive. If it's exclusive, it means it's only available to owner-occupied buyers. If it's extended, that means now it's available to investors, okay? And list price, FHA insured. This property is insured. In other words, somebody can get an FHA loan to buy this house. If it says uninsured, that means it needs a little bit more work to where they cannot get a standard FHA loan. And then 203K eligible, yes. 203K loan is a loan. It's basically a rehab loan, but it's for owner-occupied buyers only. I don't know anybody that does a lot of those because there are a lot of hoops that you have to jump through to get those kind of loans, okay? Okay, this is a good slide right here. 3 things can happen when you bid. Remember, HUD is a daily auction. It's a daily auction. 3 things that can happen. If you bid on a property on Monday, on Tuesday, one of 3 things are going to happen. Either nothing's going to happen and your bid simply expires. You don't have a further obligation and they don't have a further obligation, okay? Also, there's a little box when you bid, when your agent bids or if you're bidding through your agent's NAID number, there's a little box that says, do you want to leave this bid open as a backup, right? So you can leave this bid open as a backup. You're not going to get a lot of deals this way, but occasionally they'll accept someone else's bid. That person fails to close. They come back and look at your bid that you left open as a backup, and they'll accept your bid, okay? But if you're bidding every day like we do, it doesn't really matter that much anyway. But if you're not bidding every day, make sure you check that little box, okay, to leave your bid open as a backup. Okay, 3 things that can happen. Number 1, nothing and your bid expires. Number 2, you could get a counter. Now, all correspondence is sent to the agent that put in the bid for you, right? The way we do it is we also have access to that email address that the agent uses, right? So the agent gets it and we get it, everybody knows what's going on, okay? So we could get a counter. HUD would say, we're not going to accept your bid, but we may accept X, right? That's kind of their counter. So if you get a counter, there's 4 things you can do. Number 1, you can do nothing if you get a counter, and your counter simply expires, just like the bid, okay? If you get a counter, the second thing you can do is counter back, right? We will give you X. The third thing you can do is just ignore the counter, submit a new bid altogether. Now, a lot of people want to know, what's the difference between countering back and submitting a new bid? Which one gets you more deals accepted? We haven't found any difference one way or the other, okay? And the 4th thing you can do is accept their counter, right? If they counter, you can accept it, right? Those are the 4 things you can do if you get a counter. Now, The third thing that can happen when you bid is, nothing, you get a counter, or they accept your offer, right? Now, the contract is sent to the buyer's agent by the email, right? You have 2 business days to get your paperwork in. There for a while, there was a couple of asset managers, you had to get it in that same day, the same exact day. They now use DocuSign. It used to be you had to sign it in blue ink, you had to get certified funds, and you had to FedEx it out to the asset manager, right? But now, just in the past less than a year, they started using DocuSign, right? Also, you must send certified funds. You cannot mail a company check. You can't mail a bank check, or a company check, or a personal check. It's got to be certified funds or a wire or whatever, right? How much is the deposit? If your accepted bid amount is $50,000 or less, the deposit is $500. It's that way everywhere in the U.S. and U.S. territories, like Puerto Rico and U.S. Virgin Islands. Yes, you can buy a HUD house there too, right? If the accepted bid amount is over $50,000, the deposit is $1,000. It's that way everywhere in the country. Now, I've had a lot of people that have told me, well, my realtor told me I needed to put down 10% deposit. That's your realtor trying to get more money out of you, to get you more in the glue, right? So you don't take a chance on backing out. Because with HUD, there is no due diligence period. There's no inspection period, right? You can't have a 15-day inspection period. If you send in your deposit and you don't close, you will never see that money again, right? So make sure when you sign that DocuSign and you send in the $500 or $1,000, make sure that you know that you want to buy that property. Now, if you back out, the only thing is you're going to lose your deposit. That's it, right? But the only time you may get your deposit back is if you can prove something changed in the house from the time you bid on it until the time to close. For example, someone stole the plumbing, right? Happened to you, right? Yeah, if you can prove that, or you can show that, then you can get your deposit back. Still takes a little while. And we had one a couple of months ago where someone stole the appliances. They gave us like an $800 credit at closing. They didn't give us the option to back out. They said, we'll give you a credit of $800, I believe it was, at the closing, right? So just remember, there is no due diligence period. If you're going to back out, you're better off backing out prior to submitting the paperwork and the deposit, okay? Just if you don't send that paperwork in and the deposit in within 2 days, their accepted bid just expires, right? No harm done. Okay, extensions and cancellation. We set up a 30-day close. If you ask for an extension, HUD may or may not grant it. But they do give the extensions, right? It's typically going to cost you around $150. We've seen some that have been a little less, but typically it's around $150 to get an extension. If you cancel the contract, you'll not get your deposit unless you can show something happened to the property or something HUD didn't know about, right? We've seen them back out of a deal before because maybe their attorney or maybe someone figured out they didn't handle the foreclosure process properly. Maybe they failed to serve notice on someone or something like that, and they had to back out and say, we can't convey title yet. We're going to have to go through the foreclosure process again to get clear title. We had one happen about 2 years ago where that's exactly what happened. And they said, do you want to keep this contract open so when we get clear title, you can buy it? So 6 months went by. They said, do you want us to still keep your deposit? We said, yes. Another 6 months went by. Do you want us to keep it? Yes. Another 6 months went by. Do you want us to keep it? I said, no. Send me my deposit back, right? I don't know if they ever got title to the house, right? All right. To have more time, make your offers on Thursday only. If you're brand new doing this, see, we bid every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But think about this. If you bid on Monday and the offer is accepted on Tuesday, you have until Wednesday, Thursday to get your paperwork in. Everybody understand that? So if you're brand new doing this, or you want to have more time to check out the property, what you want to do is submit your bids on Thursday, they accept it on Friday, now you have 2 business days. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. You just turn 2 days into 4, right? So if you're brand new putting in HUD bids and you want to have a little bit more time to make sure before you send in your deposit, only put your bids in on Thursday, okay? Is that a good tip? You like that? Okay, before we send in the contract, we call the agent. Call the listing agent. What's going on with this property? What do I need to know that's not on the website? Call a property manager. What are houses renting for in the area? Go look at it if you can, or drive the street online. Use Google Maps, right? Run the comps again. Run some rent comps. You can run rent comps at places like rentrange.com, rentometer.com. You can even pull rent comps up on Zillow. Instead of looking for sale, look at for rent properties. You can also find rent comps on Craigslist. You just look in Craigslist for the area for properties for rent and see what other houses are advertised for, right? Look very close at the pictures. Read the PCR, property condition report again. And also read the PCR summary. Read the PCR summary. A PCR summary is not available on every property. It is on some of them, but it's basically a listing saying everything it's going to cost to cure the repairs that's on the PCR. That's what a PCR summary is, okay? All right, you want to have somebody take pictures. Now, we've done deals in 12 different states, so we're going to send somebody else out to take pictures, right? You can find somebody on Craigslist. You can hire a temp agency. You could use a property preservation company, field service reps. Here are 2 websites you can go to find somebody to go take pictures anywhere you want. WeGoLook.com. For about $40, they'll go anywhere and take pictures of anything, right? I'm serious. They hire people off of Craigslist to go out and take pictures of houses, cars, boats, motorcycles, whatever, right? Now here's the one I like, bpophotoflow.com. BPO Photoflow is a property preservation company, field service rep, that they work for asset managers who work for banks. So the cool thing about them going out and taking a look at these houses, they typically already have the keys to get in, right? Because they're a property preservation company, right? They're a property preservation company. But BPO Photoflow, for about 25 or 30 bucks, they'll go anywhere and take as many pictures inside and out of the house, right? And we tell it, here's what we want pictures of. Every room, any mechanical items, or where they used to be. Here's where the HVAC was, right? Any repair areas, all rooms, any repair areas, all mechanical items, all 4 sides of the house, any outbuildings, and a street view both ways. Because the Google Street View is not always 2018. It might be 2013 or 15 or 17, right? All right. Some additional due diligence if you want. You could get a rehab estimate. You could get a CMA, comparative market analysis, done by an agent. You could do that if you wanted to. You could get an appraisal. You could get a home inspection if you want to. We don't do any of that, okay? We don't do any of that. But you could if you wanted to. Now you want to start marketing the property. What we do to sell our properties, and I don't care if we're day trading it, buying and selling it the same day, or if we're seller financing it, we put signs in the neighborhood. We put out about 25 signs all around. If we're owner financing it, it's going to say owner financing with the phone number. If we are wholesaling it, it's going to say handyman special, something like 3-bedroom, 2-bath, worth $80, cash price $45. something like that, right? Put it on Craigslist. You can direct mail other absentee owners. You can pull up and see other owners that own multiple properties in the area, if it's a rental type property, and then you just send them a postcard, right? And then take flyers to your local RIA group as well. If you're wholesaling, you're going to sign your contract with your buyer, set up a double close, buy and sell it the same day, real estate day trading. It's pretty simple. Now with HUD, you cannot assign a HUD contract, okay? You cannot assign a HUD contract, right? And we all know about assignments now, right? There's a lot of scrutiny going on about that. Am I right? Right, you're not even supposed to advertise you have a house. You're supposed to advertise you have a contract on a house, right? If you're doing a lease option or seller financing, sign your contract with your buyer, get your buyer tenant application, approve and close, sign your lease option, collect your money. Now, I have two different bidding models. You guys are going to like this. The shotgun and the rifle approach. Shotgun and the rifle approach. The shotgun is a percentage of list when starting out. Guys, the shotgun approach is a temporary, short-term approach. You're not going to do the shotgun approach long-term. It's short-term just to get a lot of bids going right now, okay? To get a lot of bids going right now. Basically, it's just a percentage of list price. For example, when I go into another state, I'm going to start out with the shotgun approach. Let me show you what I'm talking about. This is an example. Let's say every property that's listed for $50,000 or less, my bid in the shotgun approach is going to be 25%, right? So if it's listed for 40 grand, 25% is $10,000. Let's say it's listed for 50 to 100, my bid's going to be 40%, right? For example, let's say it's listed for 80. 40% of 80 is 32,000. So I'm going to bid 32,000 on that house, right? If it's listed for 60, it's going to be 24,000. 40% of 60,000 is 24. Now, if it's 100,000 plus, my bid is going to be 50%. If it's listed for 120, we're going to bid $60,000. You're right. Exactly. Now, remember, it's a short-term approach just to get a lot of bids going. See, with the shotgun approach, our goal is not to have to analyze 50 or 100 deals just to get some bids going, right? We want to get our bids out there, and what are we looking for? We're looking for the counters. That's what we're looking for. When we get the counters, now we can look at 2, 3, 5, 10 a day and dial in the numbers and say, we could pay this on this property, right? The rifle approach is we're going to spend 5 to 10 minutes to analyze each deal. 5 to 10 minutes to analyze each deal. So once you get all your bids going, and I don't care if maybe you're working a full-time job or whatever, you don't have a lot of time to do this, you're going to take maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 properties a day, spend 5 to 10 minutes on it, analyzing it. Let's say you were bidding $10,000 on a $40,000 listing, 25%. But after you spend 5 or 10 minutes driving the street online, pulling the comps, looking at the PCR, maybe call the agent, call a property manager, or pull rent comps, you decided, hey, I could really pay $18,000 for this house, right? So you're going to change the 10 to 18, and then you move to the next property, right? Everybody got that? Shotgun approach is out the window then, right? You're never going to bid the shotgun method again. It's just a way to get some activity going really, really quick when you start this out, to get some counters going, right? Rifle approach. Call an agent, call a property manager, drive the street, run comps, rent comps, look closely at the pictures, read the PCR and PCR summary. Pretty much what I just told you. Here's a few strategies that we use to buy at deep discounts. Look for inconsistent number of bedrooms and baths. I've seen HUD properties listed as a 2-bedroom. They were really a 3. Now, I've seen them vice versa too, right? I've seen some listed as a 1-bath that was really 2. Look for inconsistent square footage. One that comes to mind was, it was listed as 900 square feet. It was really 1,900 square feet. That's a big difference. Now think about all the people that are searching for houses 1,200 square feet and higher. That house didn't even show up, right? They missed it. So look for inconsistent square footage. More days on the market equal bigger discount. Typically around 60 to 75 days, they'll start dropping what they'll take for the house. Now I will tell you, and I think I have a slide up here for it. We had a house a while back. 17 days it had been on the market, and they accepted 35% of list price. 17 days it was on the market. I told the people in my office when that deal came through, I said, somebody pushed the wrong button somewhere. You make sure you get all that paperwork in, you get the money in, make sure they have no reason to cancel this bid, right? Because somebody messed up. 17 days, they took 35%. That doesn't happen. Well, obviously it does, but it doesn't normally happen, right? So I said, make sure we get everything in, okay? Look for mispriced properties. I'll show you some of those. Mispriced properties. Look for problems that can be fixed. As I mentioned, the older I get, the simpler I want things to be. I don't like major rehabs, okay? By the way, I don't do rehabs at all, right? I don't do rehabs. There's two things about real estate I don't like. Rehabs and tenants. I love real estate. I love it. There's so many things you can do. If I don't like tenants, I don't have to deal with tenants, right? Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. I have people that pay me money every month, but it's like Dollar General or it's other businesses. But I do have residential homeowners in training. They're not tenants. They're homeowners in training, right? Lease options and seller financing. Okay. So look for problems that can be fixed, just about everything except major rehabs and neighborhoods, right? Look outside of major MSAs. Guys, I live and work in the Charlotte MSA, Metropolitan Statistical Area. It's been over 4 years since I have bought a house in Charlotte, right? Over 4 years. Right? The smaller towns, a lot of people say, yeah, but Larry, you know, you're buying a house in a small town, a bedroom community or a small town, you know, there's fewer buyers. How many buyers do you need for a house? You just need one, right? That's all you need is one. That's it. Uninsured properties equal bigger discounts because they know the person can't go get a regular FHA loan. Bid on every house every day. That's what we do. Look for price reductions and back on the market. HUD, similar to a lot of banks or most banks, if they don't sell a house in 30 days, what do? Drop the price. If it doesn't sell in another 30 days-ish, they drop it again, right? HUD is similar. Less competition on uninsured properties as well. There's not as many people bidding on them. It's kind of like when you bid on an auction property. If the property is occupied, there's not near as many people bidding on it as an unoccupied property because they don't have to deal with the existing tenant, which, by the way, you never have to worry about that with HUD. You'll never bid on a HUD house that is occupied, right? Unless there's squatters and they don't know about that. And I've never seen that happen, never. Because they send somebody by every week or two to check on it. There's a sign-in sheet, and every week or so they send somebody by, right? To mow the yard, check the house, and they go inside and they sign in on the sign-in sheet. So let's look at some real deals. This is a house we paid 57% of list price. 57% of list price. Okay, list price $50,400. We bid $28,800 and won this. Oh, let me show you another little thing. Notice here it says selling broker commission, that's the buyer's agent, my agent, and listing broker commission, $864 and $250. Is that a big difference? Yeah. Well, how did that happen? The agents I work with, I do all the work. They don't do anything except collect a check. So for that, I've negotiated a discount with my agent. Is that fair? If they do nothing, it's found money for them. Is it? You can if you want to, you don't have to, but here's the cool thing. Look down here, net bid amount. That's the number HUD cares about. They don't care about this number, the bid amount. They care about what are they going to net. So you and I could bid on the exact same house, and because my buyer's agent has accepted a lower commission because they're not doing any work on the deal, HUD's going to net more. HUD will take my bid over yours, right? But now that you know that, you can do the same thing, right? And if you are your own agent, it's going to be zero. So HUD will even net more with you than they do with me, right? Okay, we bid $28,800. The house was listed for $50,000. There's the house, $28,800. Here's one right here, 56% of list price. It was listed for $64,000. Net bid amount is $36,480. $36,480. And it's a brick house. It's a nice house for 36 grand, right? Yes. 51% of list price. This was listed for $41,413. We paid $21,000. Now look, my VA forgot to change $630 to $250 right there, right? And we still got it. There's that house. We paid $21,000 for that. Look, there's pictures. Has carpet. Look at that. This house is livable, right? Sunken living room. An intentionally sunken living room. Look, see, the carpet was missing in that room back there. See it? Guys, you can sell or finance that or lease option that all day long. Am I right? Yeah. That right there is a typical kind of, in fact, I think I sold this one $69,900 with $5 grand down. That's a typical deal. I'm going to pay $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 for a house. I'm going to sell it for $69,900, $79,900, $89,900 and get $5 grand down. And the cool thing about it is there's other comps in the area at or higher than what I'm selling it for. It's not like it's only worth $50,000 and I'm selling it for $69,900. There's comps to support. They're getting a good deal at that. Right? Does that make sense? Yeah. And when I sell or finance them, I sell or finance them typically 10, 15, 20 years. I get as much down as I can. I don't take all their money. I get as much down as I can because they're going to need moving money and furniture and little stuff like that. So I finance it, and I usually try to sell it. Those higher priced ones, I usually try to sell them for about 3 times what I'm in it, right? About 3 times, sometimes a little bit more. Who had their hand up?
The list price that the HUD sets, they set it like the foreclosures where it's about 65%.
Yeah, he said what price does HUD set the list price at? The way it works is HUD hires an asset manager, they hire a realtor, the realtor does a BPO, broker price opinion, and that's how they price the property. But I have seen some that have been priced well below market, and I'll show you one of those, right? That's a good question. All right, let's move on. This is a house right here. We paid 47% of list. It was listed for $52,488, and the bid was $25,000. See, they got it right here. $250. It saved me $500. There's the house. Guys, I love the double wide mobile homes. I love them. Right? You could get a 1,600, 1,800, 2,000 square foot house, 3 or 4 bedroom, 2 or 3 bath, vaulted ceiling, plant shelves, garden tub on an acre of land for $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. Right? Here's a house I paid 43% of list price. Listed for $52,500. We paid $22,579. See, she forgot right here. Not that spectacular, but here's one I paid 40% of list. It was listed for $35,000. I paid $14,406. That saved me $1,000 right there. HUD's net was $1,000 more by them taking my bid. $14,406 on this house. Look at it. Would you just look at that? See the carpet's been removed. Fireplace, island in the kitchen. You saw that? It needs carpet. It needs carpet. Now, the way I do my properties, I love the seller financing, like they were talking about earlier. I love the seller financing. However, if I could lease option it first, I'm going to do that. In order for me to be able to lease option a property, I could not enter into a landlord-tenant relationship if the house is not fit and safe, can I? No, I can't do that. So I could not lease option a house that the hot water heater doesn't work, or it has faulty wiring or faulty plumbing, or the deck rails are missing and it's 4 feet off the ground. I can't do that. But can I lease option a house that has no carpet? Can I? Sure, absolutely I can. Absolutely. There's no reason, hardwood floors. I heard somebody say that. That was nice. Let's just throw a little shellac on it. Right? Mop that around a little bit. That's good enough. That's hilarious. Yes? Am I going to clean it up and remove wallpaper and all that? Okay, let me reiterate something. I hate rehabs. I hate rehabs. I don't do them. You can't make me. You can't make me. Right? I don't do rehabs. I don't do. Now, occasionally, if I have to get something closed, I'll do a little something if you twist my arm and I have to see that big check at the end. Right? But only if I have to. But I hate rehabs. Hate them. Hate them. All right. Have I said I hate rehabs? 37% of list price. This was listed for $64,080. We paid $23,750 for this. $23,750. 35% of list. Oh, this is the one. 35% of list price. Listed for $76,000. They took $26,600 on this house. It was listed for $76,000. 17 days, they took $26,600. I'm like, somebody pushed a wrong button somewhere, right? That makes sense? 28% of list. Listed for $31,200. I paid $8,800 for this house. Now notice, it's not the Taj Mahal. But remember, guys, everybody's got to live somewhere, right? Everybody's got to live somewhere, right? You could take this house right here, $8,800. You could sell this house for $29,900, get a couple $1,000s, and your yield on that's going to be 3 figures, right? Triple-digit returns. Triple-digit returns.
How much downside on something like that?
How much downside? 0. Yeah, 0 downside. I'm glad you said it, not me, right? But listen, when you sell or finance something, here's from best to worst what can happen. Right? When you do these kind of deals and you sell or finance and you sell them for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times what you paid for it, from best to worst, here's what can happen. The absolute number one best thing that can happen, they refinance and pay you off. No, just making their payments is the third best thing. The first best thing that can happen is they refinance, they go get a loan somewhere and they pay you off. It hardly ever happens. Hardly ever. There's a reason they responded to an ad that said seller financing. No bank qualifying, right? The second best thing that can happen when you do this is they default and you get to sell it to someone else again and get another down payment. That's the second best thing that can happen, right? Now, we don't encourage that. We don't want this, but the fact of the matter is not everybody pays you as agreed, right? We've even done loan modifications for people. So the best thing that can happen, they refinance and pay you off. Second best thing that can happen, right, is they default and you get to resell it again. You get another down payment, which lowers your cost and increases your yield. The third best thing that could happen is they simply make their payments, right? The fourth best thing that can happen is you modify the loan, right? You can modify the loan short term or long term. And the absolute worst thing that can happen is you give them the house, right? I mean, seriously, let's say you financed this house for 20 years. They got behind. They've paid you a year, 2, 3, whatever. You've got all your money back, right? Right? Yeah, you've got your money back. Most of the deals that I do have triple-digit returns, and we have our money back in the first year. So let's say you call them up. Hey, what's going on? My deadbeat husband left me here with these 3 kids. I don't know what I'm going to do. I guess I'm going to have to move out to the shelter. If you're making triple-digit returns, could you not give her the house? Couldn't you? Yeah, yeah. Now, not to mention, it's a good thing to do. Now, if you give her the house, what's that going to do for her? Change her life. Change her life. But let me tell you something. When you give somebody a house that needs it, and you know they're deserving, and they're not just a deadbeat, and they're not just trying to take advantage of you, when you're helping somebody that's got kids, it's going to do a lot more for you than it does for her, right? And I don't care if you live here and the house is in Jackson, Mississippi. You jump on a plane and you go down there and you sit at the table and you take that land contract or mortgage and you write paid in full and you sign it and you give it to her right there at her kitchen table, right? That's going to change your life, right? That's going to change your life. How many people would like to be able to give away a house to a needy family? Yeah. Absolutely. Let me tell you something. If you're not going to raise your hand about that, you're going to lie about other stuff too. All right, here's one I paid 20% of list price. $45,000. We paid $9,150. This is going to blow you away. $9,150 for that house. Right? Little double-wide mobile home out close to the beach. You can see the sand there in South Carolina. Here's a house we paid 65% of list price, listed for $102,000. I paid $66,474. Now look, she forgot to change it to $250,000 right there. Man, she cost me a lot of money. $66,000. Here's one we paid 68%, listed for $34,000. I paid $23,000 for that. Look, this house is livable, right? Crazy, huh? This house right here, 70% of list. It was listed for $40,000. We paid $28,420 for that. Not too shabby, huh? 71% of list. This is listed for $157,000. We paid $113,000. I noticed she forgot to change the commission on that one too. She's in the Philippines. Her name is Mercy. She's been with me for about 7 or 8 years. Right? Yes, sir.
How do you decide what's the limit at which you cap the
How much do I decide is the limit? Yeah. Well, I run all my numbers. Like if I run my numbers as if I'm going to wholesale it, yeah. ARV, after repair value, times 0.70 minus repairs, minus closing costs, minus what I want to make, 10 or 15 grand, and boom, there's my number. So right?
You said 70%.
Of ARV, not of list price, of ARV. Okay. Yeah. That answer your question?
Yeah.
Good, good, good. Yes. No, not all of them are 2018. There's a spread from, I've got 1 or 2 in here, I think from 15. I've got a few from 16 and a lot from 17 and a couple from 18. right? Look at this one. I paid 103% of list price. 44,040. I paid 45,601. Now let me tell you about this deal. Okay, this deal right here. My guy called me up, my acquisition manager. He said, Larry, there's a house came available today. I called the agent. There's 3 other agents bidding on it, or other investors bidding on it. He said, my comps are all 90 to 120. He said, what do you want to bid? I said, well, you think anybody's going to bid list? Because list is 44. I said, well, I don't know. Well, let's say somebody bids list. Maybe we should bid 44,001. Well, what if somebody does that? Let's bid 44,101. What about 44,500, 44,501, 45,600? How about, let's do 45. Let's do 45,100, 45,101. Maybe we should bid 45,500. What if somebody else bids that? Let's bid 45,600. What if somebody else bids that? Let's bid 45,601. There's the house. Look at this. He asked the agent, what does this house need? She said, curtains. I put it on the market for $99,900 with $10,000 down. The second person that looked at it, she said, I've already been approved at my credit union. Will you take $89,900 if I get my own money? Guys, that's a fix and flip without the fix. Remember, I hate rehabs. Now, I did have to put a water heater in it. $400. Come on.